Que onda, bandidos? Welcome to Next Level Consciousness with Enia Stella and the last episode for 2022, where I will share my top 5 lessons from this year, which will hopefully inspire you to reflect on your top 5 insights, learnings, lessons, because that's why we are here and that's how we can reach next level consciousness. So let's dive straight in. Lesson numero uno. When you set boundaries, people who used to benefit from your lack of boundaries will get mad at you. Set them anyhow. So I feel like my word for 2022 was boundaries. Anyone else? Because I feel like this synchronistically reflects what has been going on in the world this year. When people have been waking up faster and faster and realizing, hey, no one is coming to save us. We need to save ourselves. Because that's how we heal the world, one healed human at a time. There is no external There is no external force that is coming to save us. We need to do it by strengthening ourselves from within. There the existence of this YouTube channel. But really, my spiritual ego got a bitch slap. Because I thought I was so healed, I thought I had such firm boundaries, but this year, and maybe also moving to the energy vortex of Tulum, which acts as a mirror to everything you need to heal, really helped me see where I have holes and where I have flaws in my boundaries, where I was leaking energetically in all kinds of relationships, and how I could do to actually heal that and get back into my power. I actually posted a video about boundaries a few days ago, so check it out in the description below. Lesson number 2 from 2022. Healing makes a difference. It actually does. If you are on this path of self-discovery, of healing, of getting back into yourself, whatever you want to call it, sometimes it can feel a bit hopeless. You've been to all those ceremonies, maybe you've been meditating at home, doing a lot of different practices, maybe getting certified in something, and you feel like you're slipping back into the same old patterns. You feel like your goal just keeps moving elusively, like the end of the rainbow. And sometimes it just feels like, oh, I am stuck. It feels like, have I even evolved anything with all these hours, all this blood and sweat and tears that I've been putting into my healing journey? Maybe money too. But I want to tell you that yes, you have absolutely evolved, even if you don't see it yourself. And I have noticed it myself because this year has been unusually challenging and thrown all kinds of lessons and challenges that me a couple of years ago I think would have broken down completely. But I noticed a very different way that I have developed of dealing with hardship, of dealing with challenges, of dealing with loss, of dealing with heartbreak and stress and fear. Everything. I have really rewired myself and repatterned myself so that I can bounce back faster from things. I don't let them affect me as much as I used to, and I don't hold on to them. And most importantly, I don't make stories the way that I used to do before. Because I used to be quite a lot in victim mode and, oh, this only happens to me, or even blaming myself like, oh, this is so typical me. But now I realize that it's less about what happens to you and more about what stories you make about it. And I consider myself a good storyteller. But you gotta know in what context is it actually helpful to create stories. For me as a freelance writer, it is very helpful. And when I promote my business, my ceremonies and things like that, when I promote my YouTube videos, it is very helpful to use storytelling. Much less so when I find myself in a challenging situation and as I start to make these stories that, oh, but this happened because I am not good enough and I am not smart enough and I'm not capable enough, whatever it may be. Let go the stories and life will be so much easier. Or make an empowering story of it. I could use, for example, oh, my YouTube channel only has this many watch hours, these many subscribers, I have such a long way to go. Or I can make the story, hey, a couple of months ago I had 0 subscribers, I had 0 watch hours, and look at where I am now and make it a very positive and uplifting story. So remember that you have the power to choose what stories you tell yourself. That is a lot of power. So make sure that you don't tell horror stories, but that you really tell these inspiring stories that you would like to see on the first page of a lifestyle magazine. I also feel the difference in my mood on the daily. I feel so much lighter and happier overall, even when life happens, because life will always happen. That's a sign that you're alive. And I also know how to alchemize emotions. I know how to face emotions instead of running away from them, and I know how to alchemize them and turn them into fuel to put into my business and my YouTube channel. And I can say that thanks to all this healing, I look at things completely differently. So for example, I could let myself be discouraged by, for example, I have been single for this many years, I only have these many YouTube subscribers. But the way I really feel about both these situations is it has all just prepared me for what is to come. You haven't seen anything yet, and there are so many miracles awaiting for me in life. Like, I can really feel the energetic blueprint of that. I can feel I can feel the energy of it, that it is on its way, and I trust it completely and I have no stress about anything. That's how I feel 99.9% of the time. Of course, I also freak out, but it's very rare these days. Rare. Yeah, it's very rare these days. Whereas before, I would maybe have freaked out 90% of the time and felt good 10% of the time. That's a huge difference. If you feel good 10% of the time or 99.9% of the time. However, we move on to lesson number 3, which is real strength is to admit that things are hard. So that's a little contradictory, but sometimes things just feels plain hard, and it feels like everything is going against us, and we get into this should cycle, this vicious cycle of shoulds. I should have been past him. I should not feel anything for this person anymore. I should be so much farther ahead in my business. And I talk about relationship and business because I think that's something that a lot of us can relate to, at least I can. And I found that most of the time when I find myself in these patterns, I can very easily alchemize it and bounce back, as I said in the past point. However, there are times, especially this year, also with everything external that has happened, like the situation in the world that has imposed quite a lot on our shoulders, besides our personal challenges. Sometimes I have had moments this year when things have felt so hard, and the most liberating thing that actually made me feel better was to admit it and to say, hey, it's actually very hard right now. And just by admitting that and being radically honest with myself, even though I wasn't proud of it, even though it wasn't something that I wanted to write on Instagram, how I dealt with this in the perfect way and how fast I could alchemize everything. That was the most liberating thing I could do. And I felt so much better. So yes, most of the time I was able to really reap the benefit from all the years of healing that I have done. But there were a few cases where I just allowed myself to collapse, more or less. And it really helps. Insight number 4 is a bit different from the other ones. And that is, most people are actually nice. Most people are helpful and want to do good. At least that's my experience. This year I had a period of 7 weeks when I was traveling in Europe. I was living here in Tulum, but I was traveling and visiting friends, attending ceremonies, hosting ceremonies, doing all kinds of fun stuff. It was truly amazing. And the funny thing is, most of that time, I had 2 huge suitcases. And I was traveling by train and bus, also flying. But I was mostly traveling by public transport within the cities. And I was carrying these 2 heavy suitcases and a backpack. And I'm like, how did I even make it? Well, I got by with a little help from my friends, to quote my friend Ringo. Because wherever I went, and mind you, even in my home country, Sweden, people were so helpful. It was always someone there offering me help, offering me to carry one bag when I was going upstairs, to trains or down into subways. There was always someone helping me. And it just warmed my heart so much to see. And I accepted the help and I sent them so much gratitude and I thanked them so much. And it really helped me to see that even in these times, that love is so much stronger than fear. Because it would be easy to think that after all the things that have gone on in the world and all the attempt to separate us, people would be more suspicious towards each other and not wanting to extend a helping hand. But I saw the opposite. I really saw so much compassion and love, and that was just so beautiful to see. So thank you everyone who has helped me in any way this year. I love you. Insight number 5, because this feels more like an insight than a lesson, is that happiness comes from connection. That's really the secret of life. Happiness comes from feeling connected rather than isolated. And I had a very intense experience where I felt completely disconnected, and I can't even explain the terror and the despair that I felt. And that was my horror mushroom trip. I am gonna link that below too if you want to watch it. And I came back into my human body and I felt so much gratitude and so much connection. And the funny thing was that I had no humans around me, but I just felt the connection simply by existing. Because connection, yes, it can come through people around you, but it is always there. You are connected simply by living. And that is the source of happiness. And if you don't feel this connection, your work is to uncover all the layers that are holding you back from feeling it, because it's always available. You can feel the connection to yourself, to nature, the stars, and to other people. Now, other people in formal relationship can help you feel that connection more regularly, more intensely. So of course that has a value. Money can help you have more experience more frequently where you feel connection. So of course those things play a role in our happiness. But the core of it all comes from within you. And that is important, that you feel that core of connection before you can healthily connect in a way that is free of codependency with other people. And the truth is that all of your life takes place inside of your head or inside of what you feel. So it's never about what exact person do you have next to you, what exact thing do you have access to. It is how do those things or those people make you feel. And you can create the essence of that feeling within you at all times. It's very healing, it's very empowering to embody that truth. And insight number 6. The small moments are really the big ones. Yes, this sounds like a cliche, but I also believe in abundance, and I believe that we don't have to value only the small moments or only the big moments. We can have both. But as I told you in the previous point, you technically don't need anything external to feel a certain way. And some of the most beautiful moments I've had in this year have been related to connection of different kinds. So I remember many nights being alone and just staring at the starry sky, at the moon. That's very beautiful. I remember a moment when I came out from my apartment here in Mexico and my neighbor was out playing with her dogs and she was blowing little soap bubbles and the dogs were jumping and chasing the soap bubbles. And it was just so much joy in that scene and so much connection. The many sunsets that I have had the privilege to have on the beach, at the Caribbean Sea, and the color scale that is just otherworldly. I really believe in color therapy and that it connects us to something mystical, to something very deep. When we see these natural colors and the setting sun filters through these color scales, I really believe it connects us to something way deeper than what we understand. And of course, my favorite everyday moment, hearing the Mexicans around me saying, ahorita. So these were my 6 lessons from 2022. As usually, I hope that you enjoyed watching this video at least half as much as I enjoy making them, because I really love this. And please share your favorite lesson, insight, moment, something that you take with you from this year in a comment. I would love to see that. And if you got any value from this video, please hit the like button, please subscribe, whatever. And Happy New Year, and see you very soon!